Thank you for tuning in to the Sisters Talk podcast. I'm your host, Danny Yam, and today we have none other than Arthur Frank Jordan. How's it going today?
Hey, how you feeling, Danny? All praises to the Most High, White House shot, and thank you for having me. As always, always a pleasure, Danny. You're doing great work. Thank you.
Thank you, and so are you. So, without further ado, it's Black History Month. We're getting through this month. This year has been a little bit better than the previous years for this topic. I would say, although it still hasn't reached the place where we can say, okay, things are getting back to the way it should be in terms of treating races equally, in terms of treating people fairly, and not judging them based on their skin color. So there's been a few fatalities this year alone, at least the ones that have made it to the media, unfortunately. But I would say compared to the last 2 years, it's been kind of quiet. What's your take on it, Arthur Frank?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely always discouraging, to see how the media, along with different, biological tactics, play a great part in our everyday living society. 2019, when certain things were introduced to us. I'm not going to say it because I know the last time I went on a rant, your show got taken down 3 times. So I'm gonna just say the C word. So, so when things are introduced to us, that does have a drastic take on our everyday living.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think also when we speak in a way that gets people to like question the norm, I think that becomes eventually an issue because I think that society prefers that things just kind of stay the way they are. Right. It's just my opinion on that. Anyways, moving on. So today's topic, we're going to talk about Black families then versus now. Then could be in the 1800s, early 1900s, leading into 2000, 2001, all the way up now, 2022. So a lot has changed from decade to decade, even within 5 year ranges, right? It seems like after we pass year 2000, the conditions of society, especially within the Black community, changed every 3 to 5 years, I would say. What's your take on that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm not going to go back too far, into time. I'll just keep it really pretty much, up to the last past maybe 2 or 3, maybe decades. But definitely, times have definitely changed. For the Black families, here in America. We was definitely a little bit more together, a little bit more united. Even in slavery. As far as like the men and the women. Even when we was out there toiling in the slave fields, we were more together than we were apart because back then we knew directly who our enemy was and who was cracking that whip on us and who was waking us up. Our kids, our 5-year-old kids and 6-year-old kids, waking them up every damn morning to carry them cotton sacks on our back. So we pretty much had a direct, view and a direct, vision on who was directly doing this to us. And we weren't going to split up. We knew that we were better together than apart.
Right. So how do you think slavery in the late 1800s, early 1900s affect the Black families here in this country? How do you think that?
Well, going back to slavery, actually, again, we had more, togetherness. You had the man, the 2-parent households, of course. We weren't thinking of their, leaving, our people, each other because last time I checked and we came over here chained up on those slave ships, we were together, men, women and kids. It wasn't the Black woman, she got peripheral treatment, more so than the Black man. No, we were chained up together and we came over here as a unit and we came over here together. It's just if you want to bring it up to date, it's just that a lot of bills, a lot of obligations and a lot of different opportunities, were written into congressional bills and written into policy that actually favored more, maybe so more one so than the other through also the tactics also of the incarceration, of more Black men. And we'll get into that a little bit later.
Definitely. Now, I did send out a post earlier today before the show started. For those who don't know, Sisters Talk will just be going once per month So I know you guys will probably be looking out for the show, but I'm only going to do one show per month where I'm interviewing great people like Arthur Frank Jordan. And today, for those who are just tuning in or who will be tuning into this show, today's topic is Black families then versus now. So one of the people that was tuned in, they commented. Shout out to Tay. He has his own podcast as well. He commented on this idea, concept of Black families then versus now, and this is what he had to say. He says, from my perspective, back then, we had less single parent homes, we had larger families, we had less crime against each other, less murder, less youth suicide, less gangs, less prisons, less drugs. That's a lot. And then his final sentence is that we had more land and more Black family business. What do you have to say
Right.
about
Yeah, he's absolutely correct. And as time go on, look, let me put this out there too. To control the people, you have to take away their strong points and you have to take away their strongholds. And contrary to belief, one of the strongholds that we had, okay, was a two-parent home. You had the man in the house and you had the woman in the house for the balance. The woman pretty much nurtured the kids and pretty much taught the kids, pretty much right from wrong. And the man was always in the house, teaching the kids as well too. But that main thing, that the man's main responsibility was that discipline, amongst the children, that righteous discipline amongst the kids. And that's something that's, very few and far between today. So, what, America has done, they've actually played a really cruel trick on us as, as a nation of people. They've actually, taken the Black man out of the household over, the decades and over the years, because that weakens the household. Contrary to belief, it does weaken the household. I'm not dismissing the fact that there are many, Black women out there that have raised, excellent kids, sons and daughters, alone by themselves, but, again, we're stronger together than we are apart. This is the very reason, Danny, that even in the past, just going back to the past, even when we used to meet one another, as far as if you want to meet someone in school, you want to meet someone cordially by invite, someone inviting you to meet their daughter or someone meeting you to meet their best friend, we would always go through a screening process. Who's your dad? What does he do? Who's your mom? Where's she at? Do your family have any kind of ailments? Do they have any kind of mental issues, involved? Who are your brothers? So this is, we went through a screening process. Everything is just so quick and instant today, whereas that we forget about the screening process and we just go straight, to the pleasure part and what we want. Okay. There's something that's missing, mentally, when people are dating and people are courting together. You're gonna have to you may have to figure out, and you may have to say to yourself, wow, this person has the potential to become my wife, or this man has the potential to become my husband. Let me screen this gentleman just a little bit more instead of just going straight to the pleasure part. And then now everything is just all screwed up because you didn't do your homework. You didn't take the due diligence to do your homework on the person, and you didn't get to know the person well enough. Okay, just to go straight. It takes more than that, just to build up a relationship. You got to be spiritually compatible as well too.
Oh yeah, definitely. You hit a lot of key points. Going back to removing the male out of the household. So I don't know when this started, what year, but the whole public housing, when that came into effect, whatever year it was, and I can look it up, but I don't have it in front of me right now. When they did that, I don't think people realized that they were removing the protection, they were removing the discipline, and they were removing the unity between, especially Black homes, Black communities, and things like that. So when you think about the Black family, when you remove the Black man, I wouldn't say, some people don't see the Black man as a head. Whatever you have going on in your home, to each his own. But I'm just gonna say, for lack of a better term, the head of the household, then it's just left on the woman to do everything. And so this is what induces a lot of stress, a lot of unbalance, and a lot of chaos that you see, and a lot of unbalanced children, right? They're dealing with different emotions, different hormone levels, and all of this because the natural balance has been removed. I mean, the head has literally been removed out of that household. So I don't think that people look at it that way. And times have really changed as well. So you have some people who just have same sex households as well. So in their particular case, it wouldn't matter, right? But we're talking about for those heterosexual families, when you remove that head, then who's going to help you in partnership with those children? Because as we all know, especially those who have kids, it's not an easy task if you're doing it right. So I think you really hit a sound point with that.
Yeah, you're right. And listen, let me say this too. I'm gonna mention three words to you. Family child services. Once they get involved, as far as like what the families are concerned, for the most part, some people may see that as a form of, of a great deal and balancing, and but you can't go back to the same people that had us in slavery for the last past 400 years for answers. I mean, point blank. These are the same people that make up the laws. These are the same people that pass bills. I'm gonna throw something out there to you. There was a survey that came out in 2019. Per ratio, there were 268 black men per 100,000 that was locked up in jail. Okay. Matter of fact, no, let me go back. Okay. 2019, actually, that was the white people. Okay. It was listen to this real good, 268 white people per white men per 100,000 white men were put in jail. So you got 100,000. Okay. You got 268 of them put in jail. You know what the ratio was for black men put in jail in 2019?
What was it?
It was 2,272, okay, per 100,000. So to my point is this, okay, you got kids, people get married, and you got a system called called child support. You don't pay child support, you got to pay for the system even makes black men even pay to see their kids. If you don't, here it is, you're going in jail. That's another way of another tactic of getting a black man incarcerated. Okay, and it's very easy, okay, because they know that black men are very sexually active. That goes back to in the time of slavery, as far as the buck breaking and stuff like that. But we were actually weaned and we were actually bred actually to make kids. Not to say that making kids is wrong, because the Bible says be fruitful and multiply. That's what we're supposed to do. Okay. But as far as anything, child services, okay, when they actually came into a form, okay, they actually were more against the black family structure than more for the black family structure. They were the ones that allowed and put in the rules to say and kind of marginalized and said, if you don't do this, black man, this is where you're going to end up at, right here in jail. Any kind of form to get us out of the household and incarcerated. So now you got young black men looking up, and now they got to go visit their dads in jail. And that takes away time. That takes away the discipline. That takes away the structure. That takes away time, because you can't get time back. If you locked up in jail in and out all your life, okay, for 15, 25 years or maybe 10 years, that takes away time from the family structure, okay, which kids, they're at a very vulnerable age and they're at a very vulnerable state where they need dad at that state, okay, of birth. Why do you think they put the system in right at birth? If you don't do this, you don't pay child support, because they put it right at the age where the kids need the dads the most.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Put it after the child is 18 years old, after you raise the kid, then we'll put that into play. But right at the time when the kid needs that dad the most, to keep them off the streets, keep them off drugs, keep them from gang violence, teach them, how to maneuver in the society, keep them away from certain things, build certain things. They did that, and they put that right at the age of when a child is born. And most people don't even catch that.
Oh yeah, just like they don't catch the fact that you're not allowed to have a man living with you if you're on public housing. I think that was the most ridiculous thing that I ever heard growing up, and the fact that so many women ran to sign up for it.
Right.
So as a grown person, you shouldn't allow another grown person to dictate who you're seeing and who you're with, and who's head of your household, or who's your partner, better said. It's just a weird thing that people are still allowing this to happen, right? Just because they need assistance, just because they're low income. So that it within itself should say a lot. That should be very eye-opening to so many people who may themselves be on public housing. And that's not to degrade anyone that is on it. It's to say, are you really going to sacrifice your love life? Or are you really going to sacrifice the discipline and the memories that you and your family could be making with the ones that you love, just to get public housing? That's a serious question. that I have everyone that's going to watch this show. And if you're upset, comment below. If you understand where I'm coming from, comment below. It doesn't make me any difference. I said what I said, and I feel the way I feel. I felt this way since I was a teenager. It,
Right.
to me, is mind blowing that grown adult women, Black women specifically, actually running herds for this kind of thing. It's ridiculous.
Right. Right. I got look, I got another one for you. Three words too. Child abuse hotline. Okay. And here it is. This is another thing. Who disciplines their kids more than Black people? Who discipline their kids more than Black people? Okay. You know,
We're the one and only.
at the table, at Walmart, you know, it's just certain things that we just don't allow our kids to get away with more so than white Americans. White Americans have their kids, you know, and stretched out in the aisle, okay, stressed out in the aisle, blowing bubbles and screaming and yelling, using profanity at them all day long. And the only thing they're going to do is to say, hey, little Becky, time out now. Oh, time out now. They're not gonna physically discipline their kids. I'm not saying bludgeon your kid.
And who's gonna be affected more? It's gonna be our communities, right?
I'm
so
not
all these laws and rules are targeted to really push you into a corner and say, you know what? Come on, go with me.
right.
Really?
Right. And again, who disciplines their kids more than Black
I
Americans?
would have to probably say equally Latinas and Latinos. I've seen it.
Right. Well, I mean, they are brothers and sisters. You know, so when I
Yeah.
talk about Blacks, I'm talking about across the spectrum. West Indians as well too, Caribbeans, West Indians, you know, Dominicans as well too. So,
Right.
you know, in contrast, that rule was really written in for us. You know, it's an underlying rule that's written in for us. Another tactic also for your kids. Who gives their kids a 24-hour hotline, okay, for you to actually call and say, if your parents are yelling at you in a way that's making you discomfortable, okay, making discomfort, there's a 24-hour hotline where you can reach out to us and you can actually get your parent arrested. Who puts stuff like that? That's another way of getting our people locked up in jail as well too. Blacks, and you know, and that goes up under the noses of a lot of people as well too, because again, you know, we don't put our kids in timeout. We learned that from white America, point blank. I don't care what nobody say. We learned that from white America. Okay, back in the 60s and back in the 70s.
Oh, go ahead, because you're gonna make a good point. Go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? Back in the 60s and back in the 70s, excuse me. Hey, listen, I was fortunate enough to be raised in a two-parent household. My dad didn't put me in timeout. He told me I got time for 3 minutes when I come in there and whip your tail. Okay, I got time enough, okay, to eat my food, okay, but it was deserving for the most part, you know, and it brought about a certain kind of love and fear and respect that I still have for my dad for today, because it gives you a balance of whether to go left and it gives you a balance whether to go right, because if you know if you step over that line, there's going to be some consequences, okay, involved, okay, namely pain, lots of it.
Yeah, right. Seriously, I love the point you made. And I was gonna say, you know, I find it ironic that now we have this whole parent hotline or kid hotline or whatever they call it, which is fine because some kids actually need it. And I don't want to like dismiss that there are really people out here, parents that are literally abusing their children. So I don't want to trigger anybody with that because I understand that really that's a thing. It really does happen. But we're talking about those cases for parents who are simply disciplining their children in a reasonable way, and the children are taking advantage of that. And I find it ironic that they have created a system and they were the ones whipping our asses. Okay, we were tied to trees, you know. They were tearing Black men apart, one horse on one end, one horse on the other. You know, guys, I don't know. I could go on and go. I mean, I just don't even want to get this deleted, so I'll just stop there. But you guys can do your own research. I find it ironic that they're the ones that's putting in these laws and things like that, and they were the main ones whipping everybody, kids, mamas, daddies, aunties, uncles, everybody could get it. So, you know, but we've come a long way. I definitely have to pay homage and respect to people who have paved the way, not just Black people. Now we have friends in other races who have held our hands together. They've sang with us together in these studios, on the street. They marched, they tore up stuff with us too. We just saw that in 2020. That there's other people in other races that get it. They see all the damage that has been done to our culture. They're starting to wake up and see that it's this perpetual innate feeling that some white people have, where they feel like they have to control us. They have to control the level of music that we're listening to, the volume. They have to control what we wear. They have to control, where we go. We can't walk into our own communities that we're sharing with them because they feel like we're an outsider coming over to like scope out the scene to steal something. So I've seen it all.
Right.
Being at home in year 2020, I was able to see a lot of inconsistencies. I could see a lot of racism. I could see a lot of Karenism. I could see a lot going on in that year that I could not see when I was busy working every single day. So I know now that a lot of racists used to complain and say, "Oh, they're playing the same song, like this victimizing tone." No, this is a real situation. A lot of black men are still targets in 2022.
Of course, of course. Hey, listen. Different day, still same agenda. They just do it in a little bit more of a underlying fashion. That they and that's a war tactic. That's an old war tactic where you got to take the stronghold out of out of the palace, okay, in order to control everything else. Because the more that you keep people in darkness, that's the more that you can control them, and you can control the narrative. Bill of Rights, the amendments is nothing but controlling the narrative of what you do. And let me say this: if black people, if they think that, okay, if they think that if you think that you have a right to do whatever you want to, and you're not controlled, okay, by a society, okay, that we live in, you're sadly mistaken. All right, what do you think they put in amendments for? What do you think they put in Bill of Rights for? They come up with rules where you can't discipline your kids. They come up with rules where black dads, you got to pay a tab now called child support just to see your kids and marginalize you. Stop at a light, your license suspended. Now you end up incarcerated. Now you're part of the system now. So
What's some advice? I don't mean to interject, but what's
no,
some advice?
fine.
There's a lot of families going through that where the system has now put into place child support, and it's literally created a rip between the mom and the kids versus the father. The father wants to be with his kids, but he's like 10, 11, $12,000 in debt with child support. The mom's tripping because she still wants to be with him. He doesn't want to be with her anymore, but he also is in debt. It's like it's a never-ending cycle of drama.
Right.
The person who loses is that child or those children. So what's some advice to a mom and dad that are trying to co-parent successfully? The mom needs financial help. We can't negate that. The father's not making enough to, catch up to his payments. What's the best advice in that situation?
Counseling. If you can get some sort of counseling, as far as what to do, how to mentally, handle the situation, because it's all about emotions as well too, and it's all about how you departed, from one another. If it's a case where you had some kind of irreconcilable, differences between one another. He had infidelity problems. She had infidelity problems as well too. If that's the case, of course, that's going to anger not only the man, but that's going to anger the woman as well too. So now you got, you're going into divorce court. You're separating from one another, and you're mad as hell. You understand what I'm trying to say? You're mad as hell. You're still carrying that luggage of, I'm not going to let him get away with that. He slept with my best friend, Bonquisha, and then the man is saying the same thing. Hell, she was, at work, sleeping with a coworker, all them years, So it's an emotional anger thing, that you're carrying on, for the rest of your life. So my thing is, in any couple that's married, get righteous counseling before you make a move like that, and open up to one another and be honest with one another. Tell each other what you want, what you need, and if it's not working out, it's just not working out. You want to depart as smooth as possible. You want to depart ways as smooth as possible. And if it's a case where you have to be more empathetic, okay, with the person at hand that you were with, especially if there's kids involved. You don't want to hear it is, you were together once as a team. Everything was smooth at one point. I'm pretty sure everything just wasn't rough from the gate. Okay, so you gotta want to part, as smooth as possible, because it could be a point where the man, is non-beneficial and non-productive to you. Okay, to just get even with this guy, okay, because now he's with your best friend. And, if I can't have it, she ain't gonna have it. You know, that's being personal. You know, what about the
That's
kids?
usually what it's about too. I mean, look at the whole Kim Kardashian and Kanye West situation. They're going through a divorce right now. It seems like after reading a few articles, Kanye don't even care about whether or not she's dating somebody. He was more concerned that don't sell our assets that we built together, like any type of
I'm
investments that
sure.
they had together. He's like, you are not allowed to sell that until we get this divorce properly, legally, and I know what's mine and you know what's yours. So man, it's getting nasty. It's
Right,
getting
because every marriage isn't going to work out. I mean, let's just put it out there. Every marriage, everybody isn't for, everyone isn't for everybody.
yes,
So you try to make it work, and if you can just dissolve everything, again, if you can dissolve everything, and pretty much, be at a standstill where you still have a little bit of love for the man, and just say, hey, listen, I'm not going to put you through that. I know what the child welfare system going to do. If you miss a payment, chances are you're going to end in court. You're going to wind up in jail. You may lose your job. You're going to end up in jail. Next thing you know, your kid, and see, that subconsciously does something, to kids when they got to go visit their dads in jail. It
right.
lowers their self-esteem. So now, of course, now you got
Wait. Pause. What if you give this person opportunity to pay the child support? They choose not to pay it. They made a choice because they're mad because you don't want to be with them anymore. What's your advice on that? That happens every day.
and that's foolishness. That what, that's foolishness. And that's just being very vindictive, and that's being very immature and childish. If it's if you're not out there taking care of your kids in any kind of shape, form, or fashion, the best way that you can, it's no excuse for that. You can go get your kid, you can take them outside for a walk, you can exercise them. If you're not working, if you're unemployed, there are many other ways that you can show support to your kids, mentally. It doesn't always have to be financially, because at the end of the day, when we leave this earth, we're not taking nothing with us.
Right. But we
Kids,
know, especially right now with inflation going on. I don't know if you've been grocery shopping, Arthur Frank, but
ooh, yeah.
it's getting real out here in these streets.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Every time I go to the grocery store, I'm spending a bill. So it's
Oh,
like, and that's just saying it modestly. So seriously though, I mean, what is a man or a woman to do in a situation where they're stuck with a co-parent who is not wanting to pay child support? Like you end up being the villain because you're just trying to get what you need to take care of your children, right?
absolutely. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. You are absolutely correct in what you just said. That goes back to again. You have to do things as smooth as possible. Let's start from the beginning. If you got two couples that are having differences in their marriage, right away it should be some kind of counseling that you can relate to, to try to straighten things out. Even if things don't work out, you don't want to leave a relationship, wanting the worst, for that person. And like you just said, okay, you said, well, what if the person is giving chance after chance after chance after chance? I think that incarceration is very extreme. I think that incarceration is very extreme.
It is. You're right. You're right. It is.
Right. Chances are, look, if you got someone out there making $200,000 a year, and he's not, supporting his kids in no kind of financial manner, then shame on him. Shame on him. But you have black men out here. We got it just as bad as anybody else out here. But there are many ways that you can show support, to your kids. If I'm pretty sure if you held up a dollar bill in front of your kid face, or $100 bill, I'm gonna say a dollar bill because hell, and you held up a dollar bill in front of your kid's face, and you say, okay, well, this weekend, where do you want this dollar bill, or where do you want to go see daddy? 9 times out of 10, they're gonna want to say they're gonna want to see their dad.
I don't know.
So
These kids these days gonna take the dollar. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I know what you're saying though. It's all about the
hey, look, that was the reason why I changed I was gonna say $100 bill, than a
right.
dollar bill. That's why I
You have to
changed
make it
it.
more realistic.
Yeah.
No, they were gonna take that $100 bill.
Yeah, they think about how many video games they can buy with that $100 bill. But you have to support your kids. I mean, some shape, form, or fashion, you have to support your kids. You can't
No,
emotionally.
wait. I want to interject again. I'm so sorry, but for the black men, I would say there's been a drastic change from back then to now. You remember how black men, they took care of all their kids. They worked hard. Oftentimes the woman stayed at home, cooked, clean, yada, yada, yada. Now it seems like those roles have reversed. We've done literally a 180-degree switch. Now the woman is working, cleaning, taking care of kids, and the man is working if he can find a job. And you know what I'm saying? No offense, black men, but that's how it's looking nowadays. That's the difference between then and now. Can you speak to that?
No, you're absolutely. Let me say this, right? You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. And then again, you can't. I mean, look, you can't in its entirety. You can't in its entirety. Throw everything at black men as far as like the support and stuff like that, because some black men, they haven't had a decent upbringing themselves. You have a lot of black men out here that don't know what it is to be a real man. Okay, point blank. They let society, and these kids today, they're letting the
As a
internet.
result of what? Of single parent households, or do you think just making poor decisions? Which one or both?
All of the above. All of the above. You have women out here, and again, to women's credit, you have women out here that's doing the best that they can, by raising, young men, and young women. They're doing the best they can. Some of them are doing a superb job, with the help of sometimes, you may have your dad or you may have your granddad, and your kid may go visit them on the weekends. And now they're showing the balance, okay, of what a real man, what a real man is. And, they're taking care of your kids. Okay, he needs a man in his life, help him box, help him make decisions, but at the same time also, you have a lot of women out here that's struggling and raising, young men. You have a lot of women out here, that's struggling and raising these young men. Now the man is only learning one side of life. He's seeing mommy put on lipstick and makeup in the mirror, and he doesn't have that balance, to show him, okay, what a real man is, what's his job, what's his roles, which is natural, makeup, to be a man. And that's where the confusion comes in at right there. So, 9 times out of 10, it's a dysfunction. It's a dysfunction, in the household, where it is that you need that balance. It's like Nana Harris just said, you need that balance. Okay, whereas that a woman, her role, okay, is to do certain things, even going back to biblical times. Her role is to do certain things. And we step out of that natural balance and we step out of that natural order. You have chaos. Okay, in comes the enemy. Hey, listen, this isn't the way you do it. This is the way you do it. Okay, this is the way we want you to do it. So, speaking, historically speaking and statistically speaking, it never works out for us to our benefit when we have someone else, okay, setting the standard, okay, for us what to do, okay, teaching our kids. How do you have a European? Let me vent off this right here. Let me margin off this right here. How do you have a European teaching Black history?
Listen, I've said this so many times at the schools that my daughters attend. I've said this directly to their faces. It's impossible. And, that's the reason why real history is not being taught today, because you have this European twist, this fantasized, glamorized version of what history was about. And that's just not the truth.
Right. And again, I got another question. How do you allow a people that make up the same bills and amendments to tell you how to parent your household? And these are the same people that still go by the laws and the amendments that enslaved our people at the same time too. Don't you think that we should know how to parent our own kids more so than the same people who's writing up the amendments that's against us and that has been against us? I'm not going to go. Listen, I'm going to tell you like this. Okay. And this goes out to white Americans as well, too. I don't expect you to go to a Black psychologist to get your family in order. I don't expect you to do that. Why should I get mad? Okay. At you going to an Irish, okay, psychologist or an Italian, okay, psychologist, or you want to go to a Russian or a psychologist in England. I'm not mad at you because why? Because you can relate to that. Why should I get mad at a Black man when, you got, Jennifer Slosky, okay, that's going to a psychologist called Norman Slosky. Okay, why should I get mad at that? It's the same.
I think it's that the problem is, I didn't mean to interject, is the fact that we're not thinking. We are not thinking. We're starting to wake up, like a newborn baby, where they start opening up their eyes and looking around. That's the stage where African American communities in America are at now. We're opening our eyes, but we can't see the big picture yet. We have no idea what's been going on. Some of us, not all of us. And the ones that know exactly what's going on, we're labeled as crazy, conspiracy theorists until it actually happens, until what we've been saying comes to light.
Right. And let me hit you with this too. You're absolutely correct in what you just said. And let me hit you with this too. Contrary to belief, I'm gonna tell you like this. You know, you may have a lot of people that may disagree with me. The reason why we still in that mindset, okay, the reason why you still think that going to Becky Simmons, okay, on Park Avenue is a better way, okay, to relate to your kids, you know, and a better way to get solutions for your Black kids, okay, is because that's a slave condition, a slave mentality. You're looking at them like they're the people that's supposed to give you the answers. They're the people that's showing you how to dress, what to put in your mouth, what to feed your kids with, how to dress your kids, what they should wear on TV.
Well, Malcolm, I reckon I'll go get that Gucci belt and that YSL cologne. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Who's setting the fashion standards, the beauty standards, the educational standards, the family norms? Like, it's not us. I mean, now we are. As a culture, we are the rhythm of the world. We know that. But I'll say who's calling the shots is not us.
Right, absolutely. And
she says, I was going to read a comment that
no, I'm sorry, I apologize.
She said, a lot of today's systems are targeted to rip the man out of the household. We just touched on that, Shatisha. We're talking about public housing. The enemy is very strategic at targeting the man, knowing he is the head, especially Black men. Boom, we just said that. So that's how I know we're in alignment. I agree.
Shatisha hit it. She hit it. She hit it. She hit it dead on the nail. And let me say this too. A lot of times people think that that's like a lot of propaganda. Oh, that's just, you know, that's just you, and, you know, take that Black stuff and go. So let me tell you something. Okay. Are we forgetting about the crack era, the heroin era? What do you think all of that stuff?
Not long ago at all. I mean, that was just yesterday.
Right. What do you think all of that stuff was all about? You know, as far as making a drug, as far as putting it in the Black community so we can pit each other against each other. Now bring it up to 2022. Okay, it's no more. Look, let me hit you with this right here, right? It used to be a time, Danny, when we would go into banks in the late we were going to the banks in the late 1800s and early 1900s. We had our own segregated communities. Okay, it was all about us. They would give us a family loan. You go to the bank now and ask for a loan. You know what a loan is consists of now? An individual loan. And people don't catch that right there. So what they're saying is that it's no more unity no more. You get your own loan. You're an individualist now. You don't need that man no more. You don't need that Black man. All you need is credit is bad.
And guess what? Our culture is the only culture where they push that narrative. If you guys really pay attention, really, truly, in the rap music, on TV, I mean, in everyday slang, that is targeted to our Black women. Now, Black women, you do what you want to do. Listen, you may not even like men. I'm not, to each his own or her own. I'm simply saying for those who still have that heterosexual setup in them, don't think that you can do anything by yourself. I'm gonna say, I said this 2 years ago, and I'm gonna say it again today on my show. You can do anything by yourself, but who wants to do it by themselves? You're not designed to be alone. I'm not telling you to just go get the first Tom, Dick, or Harry that you see. Obviously, vet them, date them, get to know them, and be a little slow about sleeping with these people, because sometimes you get attracted to what they have down below before you figure out what's going on up here and what's going on here. Because if they don't have this and this together, then all you getting is crazy pennies. That's it. You're getting crazy pennies. If I can just be honest with you, and you don't want that. So these people can sometimes turn into stalkers, or they can just be dead weight. You don't want that. And that's the reason why you get this bad taste in your mouth about Black men, because you slept with them too quickly, or that person lied to you, because there's a lot of snakes out here, both men and women, not just Black either. We're talking about, this is a global thing. This is a global united situation. You just need to take your time, ask the necessary questions to get to know these people, hang around their people to figure out, okay, if their people are cool and calm and collected, well-mannered individuals, then maybe this person is okay, and keep testing that theory. Don't just be so quick to just sleep with someone, because that's how we create what's called soul ties with people. And that's how we end up getting pregnant by some of these individuals. And then here comes child support, here comes public housing, and everything else we're talking about today on this show.
You're right.
So just take it slow.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And look, let me say this too, right? nine times out of 10, and to go back to what I said earlier, it used to be a time when you used to, have a kid that was in high school or junior high school and they was attracted to someone, where, as a parent, you would have your older sister or you would have maybe a neighbor that you can trust chaperone kids. And that word chaperone, I'm gonna throw that out there. You would have your neighbor or you would have your older brother or sister chaperone, okay, your brother or sister, okay, or your kids, okay, on a date. They don't even have that anymore in society anymore, where you have, people chaperone, or brother and sister chaperone, kids and taking them to the movies and stuff like that. Look, I'm gonna tell you like this. I grew up in Brooklyn, Farragut Projects, and I'm gonna tell you, my dad was hard, man. My dad was a discipline. My dad he's still like that to this day. We weren't allowed in my parents. Hey, listen, I wasn't allowed in my parents' bedroom. If I had anything to say, they would say, stand right there by the door, okay, and say what you got to say. And this is fact.
Let me pause you. So do you think the respect in Black families has decreased from then to now?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And going back, let me say this, going back to that man, going back to that man again. Okay, look, men have a natural prowess about themselves, and they have a natural aura about themselves. Our voices is heavier. We have more muscle tone on our body. So automatically, if you're in the household, a kid 9 times out of 10 is gonna have some kind of reluctance to come against that. A little kid against a grown man. So, whenever a kid is with the mom, 9 times out of 10, a kid know how they can get over on a mom. A mom a little bit more passive. A mom is a little bit more right. She's a little bit more in touch with the kids' emotions and stuff like that. But when it comes to that dad just like two-way street, no and yes, yes and no. And the dad is always normally 9 times out of 10 that last option that you go to. When a woman is out of all options, she go right. I'm calling your dad. Okay, right. Wait till your dad get home. Okay, you don't want to listen to me? Well, you're gonna have to listen to your dad. So as far as respect goes, yes, absolutely yes, and that goes back to the 2-parent household. You got a lot of kids, and you got a lot of men out here that haven't tasted that. They haven't been nurtured with that. So you have 2-parent households, and so you have a man and a woman that meet. Okay, 9 times out of 10, that man, okay, if he's been raised by another man and another woman, 9 times out of 10, that's going to be a good man because he comes from a well-disciplined family, and he's not going to let nothing happen to you because he got to say, look, my parents are still together. This is what I want for you and I right here. Let's work things out. I'm not trying to say stay in an abusive marriage. A man is abusing you physically, you get the hell up out of there. You get the hell up out of there as quick as you can. If a man is abusing you mentally, you get the hell up out of there as quick as you can. Okay, I'm not.
So can I pause you on that? So there are a lot of women who have experienced both mental and physical abuse, and that's why a lot of Black women are choosing to just be to themselves. Number one, they're fearful. Number two, they can't trust anyone. What's some advice going to our Black women on how to deal with this? And also, what's some advice to our Black men who may be experiencing these episodes of rage? They're not being able to control their emotions. And so they're lashing out.
Hey, listen, again, and this may sting a little bit. Keyword is counseling. I'm not gonna go to Dr. Finkelbaum, to counsel me on anything. I got Black man problems. I need a Black man to counsel me. Okay, I'm just not going to do it because you don't really know what goes on into a Black. That's like me sending, a rabbit into a lion's den and expect him to survive. It's just
because he won't be able to relate to your struggles, your day-to-day
struggles. Absolutely. So that's one of the things right there, Danny. Okay, where our people fail to realize. Okay, is that you can't go to a supermarket, you can't go to a chicken store expecting to buy fish. Impossible, totally impossible. So you can't do that. So my thing is that counseling plays a major part. Again, like I was saying, you got to screen a lot of men a lot better, just like men got to screen women a lot better. Who you came from, who your family, who's your dad, who's your mom, where did it come from? Do they got mental issues? Do you suffer from hypertension? Do you got
Seriously though, does diabetes run in your family?
Yeah, just
Bipolar
diabetes.
disorder, schizophrenia, severe major depression. We don't have these.
Right.
I just don't feel like enough of us are having those type of conversations. And then we end up with people that we don't understand, or they become abusive over time. They were always abusive. We just didn't know.
Right, right. Because you didn't want to have the proper conversation with them. And if a man really loves you and if he really cares about you, and then vice versa as well too. If a woman likes you, she likes you. The only thing a woman wants is the truth. That's just it. Come, tell me. You take medication for ADHD. Tell me. You suffer from bipolar.
Or you take medication because you have HIV. Let's talk about
Right,
that.
right,
Because
absolutely
there's
right.
so many STDs running rampant in all communities, but
Right.
also in the Black community, because we made STDs this conversation that does not need to be had because it's embarrassing or whatever you want to label it, but it's still necessary to have.
Right. Right.
Very necessary.
You're right. Let me tell you something. You are absolutely correct. You know, again, it's that word. It's that word.
Not to say do a resume on people. That's true. You need to
Well,
do
yeah.
your background checks. Ladies, you know how much of an investigator you become when you think your man is cheating. You need to be like that up front when you're getting to know these guys, and vice versa with these ladies. Look at all of their social media profiles. Do a background check on them and see how their name pulls up on Google, because everything you need to know is going to be right there.
Right. You don't look, let me say this, right? You don't, it depending on what you want, everybody has different tastes. I can't speak for everybody, and I can't push, what I want on someone else. You may see social media, that's something we're gonna get to in about 5 minutes. You may see a woman on social media that's a businesswoman, nice, very well spoken, someone that goes to work every day. And, if you're of a like mind, you like, wow, she's a really good match on paper for me. Let me get to know her. But then again, you can see her on another video. She could be twerking. She could be at a club, popping bottles, got 5 and 6 guys, one in the back of her, 2 on the side, 1 in the front. She's sitting, she's smiling, she's having a good time. So, that's somebody, me personally, that's somebody that's just not for me. That's somebody that's just not for me. But at the same time, also, people are going to show you who they are within time. You want that person, that's going to match, okay, and come to the table and match what you have. Look, let me tell you something. If you got 3 and I got 2, together we got 5. Okay. Right. If I got 5 and you got 0, it's a problem. It's a problem.
I think it's important to get with someone who's mentally mature as you are. Because if you get with someone who doesn't understand life yet, or at least understand it to the level of which you're living your life and doing things, operating, paying your bills, staying healthy, taking care of your kids if you have any, things like that, or what you choose and decide to call a turn up or having a good time, maybe not be the same is what they're calling a turn up, getting, having a good time. So you need to figure all this stuff out. But in terms of Black families, would you say that Black families are, especially during the holidays, do you think that they're less unified than they were back in the day, or more unified today?
If you want to know something, actually, I think the pandemic, during this 3-year stretch of the 2.5 years of this pandemic, it started in 1999. That's why it's called COVID-19, because it started in 2019. So I think that during this stretch, I think that actually, to be honest with you, I mean, I don't celebrate, calendar holidays, but okay, to your point, I think that actually it may be safe to say that, Blacks, Hispanics, across the board, North American Indians, Haitians, Dominicans, Caribbean people, I think that we actually became closer, during this pandemic. And one thing I did do, and I did a mental survey, is that we began to take care of ourselves and start taking health a little bit more serious. And to add to your point, I think that everyone amongst us, okay, Black families, I think that it has taught us to be a little bit more respectful and a little bit more conscious of life, of living. Okay, because look, let me tell you something. It used to be a time when you can reach out to someone and you can ask about someone. Hey, is is Denise, how's Denise doing? Now it's, is Denise still around? So that
Exactly.
goes to show you right there a thing called, one word called life. We took that for granted 3 years ago. So now I think that Blacks are a little bit more together and loving one another and not taking life so much for granted anymore. So anytime, Danny, when you can get together with your family during any time of the year, I think that the Most High been dropping so many people within the last 2.5 years. So many people been checking out on us. I think that has actually scared us and forced us, okay, into being unified a little bit more and reaching out and saying, damn, I love you. You know,
Right.
you picking up the phone. I love you. Let's have this get
Because
together.
before this happened, everybody was so busy. They were either busy with work, busy with school, busy with family, meaning like they had kids, busy in their relationships, all of that. Now people are checking in. They're making sure that you're good. They're making sure their grandmas are good, their moms and dads are good. So it's a beautiful thing to see, but it's a shame it took something like this for it to happen.
Right. And during this whole COVID epidemic, I shouldn't have said that so much, but I don't think they're gonna shut you down. During this whole
We'll see.
during this whole pandemic, it served as a lot, for us. It made us think as a people and start to rethink certain things, as far as the way society is structured, the way society is against us, the way society, is non-productive and non-beneficial towards us. Because everybody's not a fool.
Wait a minute. Wait. Let's talk about the massive what do you want to call it, moment where everybody started quitting their jobs in 2020 and 2021. Either they got laid off in 2020, but when 2021 came, people voluntarily left jobs back to back to back because people started realizing what their worth. Finally,
Right.
They reassessed their worth.
Right. And you had, look, and Black businesses rose from 12% all the way up to 35%. Okay, during the time of the pandemic. Okay, because now we're sitting home and we're thinking about how to survive because we're survivalists. Okay, we're survivalists. Hey, listen, Joey.
We started realizing these corporations could let us go, and then what?
Right. Joey Brady ain't the only one that you can drop him off in the woods someplace and he know how to make a damn raft. Okay. Right. He don't know how to, he know how to make a tent. Okay. Hey, listen, you drop Travis Leroy Williams, okay, somewhere in the hood, somewhere in the woods someplace. Oh, he gonna learn how to survive because we're surviving.
For sure.
Right.
I wanted to ask you another question too, just to wrap everything up or bring it closer to wrapping up. About there's still a lot of Black men who make less than average necessary income in the U.S. to survive. That's part of the problem right there with a lot of relationships for when it comes to Black families, because you do need money to survive here in America. You need it. There's no doubt. You need it. You need it to put gas in your car. You need it for groceries. You need it to every now and then go out and have a good time. You need it for mental sanity. So I want to ask you, how do you feel that the amount of money that's being paid to majority Black men, now this is not like a small fraction, this is a majority of Black men only get paid roughly $20,000 to $22,000 per year. How do you think that affects the Black families today versus how Black men worked on their own, I guess sharecropping their own fields and plantations and things like that? How does it compare then versus now?
We're more controlled. Everything is a little bit more, just like a young lady, Shatisha Diggs, had a show last week and she interviewed me. Everything is just more controlled now because of taxes. So if you're forced, okay, what America doesn't do is this, and I know you got to go in a little while. What America doesn't do is this. They don't teach us to go to school anymore to open up our own business. That's one thing they don't do. They teach us to go to school for 4 years, for 6 years, for 8 years, okay, to work under corporate America. They don't teach us to go to school, okay, to open up your own business for your own community. They don't do that. They teach you to get a trade. They teach you to learn a profession, And this is what you're going to do. You're going to work for a certain corporation, okay, for 20, maybe 25 years, and then you're going to, then you're going to retire. But when we were sharecropping, the answer to your point right there, when we were sharecropping, we had our own business. We were thinkers back then. That's the reason why back in the 80s and I think up to the 90s, they took out that shop class, okay, called trade class in high schools, because you had Black kids that was learning wood shop. You had Black kids that was learning about engineering in high school, and they were coming out, opening up their own businesses. So now here it is in the year 2000 and in the late 90s, injection of college, okay, inside the high schools, where you went straight from high school to college, okay, just to get in depth into their system. But if you got a young man that's going back, probably your dad or your grandfather can tell you about this, Danny, okay, when they were going to school back in the day, okay, they were learning a trade already in a high school.
Oh yeah, no, my grandfather worked on washers and dryers. He built his own shed in the back. It's a nice one too, made out of concrete and steel. He did it with his own two hands. I watched him as a little girl. So definitely no, you're not making this up. And also, when we think about our great Black inventors like Jerry Lawson, which you introduced me to, year 2020, did not know he was responsible for the interchangeable cartridge on the video system. So anybody who plays video games, Xbox, Sega, Nintendo, thank Jerry Lawson. He is a Black man that was raised in the projects with no college education. Okay. He started working for Silicon Valley way back in the day. So if it was not for him, we would not even have an advanced interchangeable cartridge video system. So we got to thank these hardworking Black men who literally had nothing but their wits, right? And they put their common sense and logic together to make some things happen. So
and let me say one more thing too, Danny. No, what you're saying is absolutely beautiful. What you're saying. One more thing to your point, what you just said about Black men making $20,000, $30,000, and the quick answer to that would be, on another standpoint, you got Black, get out and go to school and this and do this and this and that. You're giving them, you're giving them societal, okay, and you're giving them the answers that white America has given us for the past 100 years. Go to school.
They're standard, right?
There you go.
Right.
Go to school. Get in debt. This and that. Look at me. I'm this and I'm that. So my thing is this. Okay, if you do have, let's just say for instance that you have, and I know you got to go. I see Tom running out. If you do have a Black woman in a household, okay, that's making $150,000, and your man is making, 30,000. Okay, we got to coach each other. We got to be there for one another. Just don't look down on him because you went to school for 8 years and you got a dual degree or you got 3 and 4 degrees. Who told you to look down on your Black man? As far as I remember, we came over here, them called those slave ships together. Okay, right. They didn't have one slave ship for the Black woman and another slave ship for the Black man. No, we came over here together as a unit. Okay, and that's I think what a lot of people fail to realize. If you have somebody that's lacking in one area, it's your job, man or woman, to pull them up to where you're at. That's real love right there. You don't look down on somebody, try to take advantage and yell and scream.
Now, what happens when you have a Black male or woman who does not want to listen? You have a lot of relationships where one partner is pulling the weight, not necessarily financially, but strategizing, making sure things happen, and the other person is just kind of like dragging their feet. What would be some advice? Go ahead.
That person's not for you. That person's not for you. If you gave the effort, and you gave the time, okay, to pull that person up to where you're at, and if that person don't want to budge, that person is not for you. Okay, everyone isn't for everybody, like I always say. And one word, I'm gonna say this: look, our people are some of the most undisciplined people on this damn planet.
Definitely, absolutely.
Save your damn money. You don't got to go out and shop, okay, for every damn thing that you see on reality.
And hold on. And when you go out of town, especially out of the country, don't go all the way. Well, yeah, go to Paris and go shopping. But anyway, don't go to other countries and just go to the mall and then go sit at the beach. Like, do stuff that you normally would not, that you wouldn't even have an opportunity to do when you do go out of the country.
And how do you go? And how do you go out of a country, okay, and do things in other places that you don't even do at home? I don't understand that. It's something psychologically is missing. You way over here in Dubai, you're doing and dressing a certain way, but when you get home, everybody start yelling and screaming at each other. I don't understand that. But you was just over in another country. You was sitting, you was in a temple, you was praying, you wore a headscarf, wore a dress, and loved it. But when you come home, I'm every N-word and yelling and screaming at me. I don't get that cycle.
I think it's a certain level of stress that this country brings to people because depending on what their situation is, right? Their finances, their love life, whatever it is, if it brings about a certain element of stress on people, and that's the reason why I think they resort back to being, lacking discipline, lacking any patience with their fellow man or woman, whatever the situation is. I just think that when you're on vacation, that's your break from that, so you can really be who you would naturally be in an unstressed state of mind. But when you go back to it, well, welcome back to the circus. Here we go.
Look, let me ask you a question. If you're having problems in your relationship, the same joy and the same happiness that you just took out to Dubai or you took out to Hawaii someplace, why don't you just sit down and say, damn, what do we do here that was different that we're not doing back at the house? Let's quickly write it down. You just put on a hula dress. You just put on this and that. You paraded in front of me.
It's all a state of mind. Literally, it's a state of mind.
There you go. There you go. And again, when I was talking about the individuality, you go into a bank now and they give you an individual loan. It wasn't, Danny, it wasn't like that back in the 1800s and 1900s. It was a family loan.
So literally what they tried to do is just dice us up as much as possible.
Yeah.
Period.
Right. This my loan. This my house. Get out.
And social media has created this tone of, oh, I see this person doing this and now I feel depressed. Oh, I feel like I'm not doing this. I just had to have a conversation with somebody very close to me 3 days ago about this. And I had to explain to them that social media is exactly what it is. It's social media, meaning people are going to put their most elaborate photos, their most favorite memorable moments, lovable moments between themselves and their partners or whatever they choose to share with the media stream. And it's going to give you a perception that is completely unrealistic. There's no way that you are going to be there to know when person A and B have arguments, when person A and B doesn't have money, when person A and B no longer has a job, or that business loan didn't fall through, or whatever your situation is. You're not going to see their failures. You're only going to see their highlights. So what we have to do, especially with the Black community, is stop looking at other people's lives and comparing ourselves or in silent competition with people who don't even know you exist. We got to stop that.
Yeah. And that brings about, let me tell you like this, that brings about depression. Okay. Because when you can't measure up to it, because now you're looking at a certain woman, okay, on social, you're looking at a certain woman on an unreality show. It's unreality. You're looking at a certain person, a certain woman, or a certain man, or a certain family, okay, on a reality show. And so now you're carrying that energy out into the world. So when you carry that energy out into the world, your expectations are unreal now. Your expectations, okay, they're unreal and they can't be met because you're basing your whole structure and you're basing your whole way of thinking off of that family and off of that individual, okay, that's on that reality show. So when you can't meet those standards and you're not going to meet that man, okay, that has a mansion in Georgia, okay, he has a fleet, okay, of Rolls Royces and a fleet, okay, of Bentleys, okay, that brings about a certain depression about yourself because, like you said, a reality show is unreality. So a lot of time it brings about a certain depression when you meet a man that's out here, he's working hard, he got 2 jobs, he got he got his own, he got a car that's substandard. So your perception, okay, about life is what you just saw on that damn reality show. So now every man that you meet now, you're shooting them down. You're shooting down a lot of good men, okay, because your standards are about a damn reality show. Okay.
Now don't get it twisted. Women, men, whomever, you guys have to keep your standards where you want them. But that also means don't go out there trying to find somebody that's a dope boy that throws in prison for 4 or 5 years for a 30K charge because they carrying that much weight in the trunk. Trust me, I know. So at the end of the day, we have to make our standards more reasonable. I mean, it needs to accommodate our true lifestyle. If you're living in an apartment, the rent is $800 per month, and you walking around in red bottoms that's $1,500, you may need to reprioritize your lifestyle. You may need to reconsider where your funds are going because legitimately you could be in a nice house for $1,500 a month, depending on which state you live in. So things like that, I think, especially for the Black community, we have to definitely keep those type of things in mind, that we need to know where we are currently, where we want to be, And to find out what type of quality person we're dealing with, they're not defined on how much money they're making per se. But as long as they're doing what's right, and as long as they have a game plan to make more money, if that's what you desire in your relationship, then you're good to go. And stay
Right.
by their side, stay together, stick together. But I feel like where we mess up at a lot of times, especially in our generation and younger, is that we're literally looking for that rock star lifestyle.
Right.
We want to be in that $1 million mansion. We want to live the life like Cardi B is living. Who doesn't? But realistically, a lot of people won't ever see that kind of money, even after, even in our old age. I mean, in fact, your money goes down when you get older because then you switch over to the monthly SSI checks if you qualify, you know?
Yeah, I think a lot of people. I think also that a lot of people are, they're reaching for the unattainable. A lot of times people don't look at the blessings that you have already, other than the blessings, that you aspire to have. It's nothing wrong with aspiring for greatness. It's nothing wrong with that at all. You're supposed to shoot for that. Okay. But if you are living a comfortable lifestyle, everything is running smooth, like a smooth chain. A lot of times it's not good to interrupt that flow. A lot of times it's not, hey, that old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So a lot of times some things are just unattainable to some people, whereas that you're reaching and you're not happy with what you have already, and having that discipline about yourself to say, if I work a little bit harder, maybe I can go from point A to point C during this time. Everybody just want everything so fast now. I want a 6-figure dude and this, that. If you don't make 6 figures, get out of my face.
It's like they're extremely impulsive. And it's like we have these unimaginable standards and goals that we have in mind. And I'm not saying no shoot for the stars, but make sure that it's a realistic projection. Right. If you know that you want to make $1 million by the end of the year, you don't have a business plan, you don't have a business partner, your partner is not on page with your business ideas, they don't have any business savvy about them, you're probably not going to make $1 million by the end of the year.
Right.
So then you got to set yourself up for success.
Right.
We can talk about it all day. And also another thing I want to throw out there, and I know this is going to piss off a lot of women. Women, stop leaning on these men to take care of you. But then when you guys get together, it's like, oh, I'm independent, I can take care of myself. But you legitimately reached out to this guy to pay your bills, to pay for your shoes, to pay for dinner, to pay for trips. And now that you guys are living together, now you throw into his face that, oh, I can do this by myself. Well, of course, anybody can do anything by themselves. I see this happen so many times. That's why I'm throw it out there. No names attached to this. Same way with the guys. If you know you're not making enough money and you move in with a black woman, we have this bad because we are very independent leader type of females. We're alpha females, a majority of us in the black community. So if you get with a female that you know is making 6 figures, she's used to doing everything by herself. What do you expect is going to come out of the first argument? Because you're not making nearly as much as she is. Now, is it right? No, it's not. But be prepared for that because you already know what type of person you're dealing with, or you should have known because you should have reevaluated the person that you're with as you're taking dates. As you get into your first argument, notice what he or she is saying. I mean, the red flags are right there.
Right. And yeah, you're right. And I think that society sets a certain kind of bar, for black relationships. And like you said, if you have a black woman, she has her own house, she has her own car, she's comfortable in what she's doing and she's by herself. And now she's looking for a good man. So now, of course, she's not gonna want nothing, that's below her standards. And that's okay. But at the end of the day as well, also, you can't let finance define who you are. Finance is good, like you said, you need finance to put gas in your car. You need finance to pay, for babysitting fees, because last time I looked, people's looks don't get them anything for free, unless
sometimes,
you're doing something.
Sometimes you get free lunch.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
Sometimes. Wait a minute now.
Right.
But to your point, though, I know a lot of white couples where the female makes way more than the male, and you never hear them talk about it because that's not their norm. So I'll say society and the media has portrayed black men to be financially rock bottom unless they're rappers or drug dealers and things like that. That's the narrative that they're trying to push, or if they're a businessman, right? But there's actually hardworking men that are making 6 figures that work in corporations. They work for corporations. They have education. they're in corporate America and they're doing very well for themselves. So we just have to be cognizant of not judging a book by its cover, getting to know the real person beyond the money, beyond the car, beyond the house, beyond the looks. I mean,
Right.
you have to be attracted, but you have to be attracted to them. But I'm simply saying, for real, find out who the person, the core of that person is, and find out what their value system is about.
Right.
You never know. You may be able to link up with a person where you two can make millions together. But you
Right.
first have to evaluate that person and where they come from.
Right. And then again, you can have, a man, that can be well off, very stable in his head, have really good moral values and, have a really good, a logic about himself, good upbringing, righteous morals and values. And he can meet a woman that, that doesn't, work, or she doesn't, but, it's something about her that he likes, and all at the same time also, you have to come with something that makes up for what you're lacking. So it's like, and then vice versa as well too. If you like a man for who he is, and you know that he's not financially up to, your standards, it may be something that man can bring to the table, that may help out and may balance things out. He may be a good mechanic around the house. He may fix your car. He may be a good guy, that works on things. He may be a good advisor.
Don't ever get with someone that you can't look past their shortcomings. We
Right.
mess up by doing that. We get with a person where it's like, oh, maybe one day I'll get over it. No, if you can't get over it today, you're probably not going to get past that. So don't waste their time and don't waste your time. Period.
Right. The guy may be a good advisor. He may be a good righteous dude, where a lot of women are attracted to righteous, honest men, whereas that they don't find that spirit in everybody else. You may be attracted to a man's prowess and his righteousness, and he may be just a pure man where you don't find that in anybody else, but he does other stuff to balance out. But at the same time, also, you pull that man up and you try to pull the man up to where you are at the same time, but you don't knock him down. Okay, because
the problem is a lot of Black women are tired of pulling anybody up, because a lot of Black women, once they hit 25, 30, 35, they already have kids. So they already have a lot on their plate. And now here comes this man with his problems. That's how they're looking at this, with his problems, and he's not making enough. And we got 3 kids already. It's stress on top of stress on top of stress. And I see this every day.
Right. You know what, Danny? It depends on, it really depends on what you're willing to put up with. It really depends on what you're willing to put up with. It depends on the whole outlook, on what that person can bring. And like you said, if you're having problems and then here comes somebody else with their problems, then, that's not a really good situation that you really want to get yourself into, unless you and that person have an understanding and, you can look past the person's problems, and you can deal with it. Maybe the person does other things, to really, to get you to really get motivated, or you're like, that's nothing, that's nothing. I still love you as a person, that's one thing. But I do understand, what you're saying. No one wants problems on top of problems. No one wants you to come with, bills, and now, child support is taken out of my check, because of your, negligence. I don't think nobody would sign up for that.
And do you believe in the Black community that marriage is dead, or is it becoming like this falsehood of relationships? Because I hear so many, but especially Black women come to me. They're like, are you really happy? Because I was in this relationship and oh my God, he used to do this, he used to do that. And I just don't know how you deal with that, because you're doing, and I'm like, I'm blown away. Because it almost makes me feel like the idea and concept of real love is just vanishing.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me say this. Okay. Well, let me say this, right? Let me say this, right, Danny? I look, you got to look back at, again, you got to look back at the 60s, and you got to look back in the late 1800s. I did a survey in one of my books called What the FDA and CDC Don't Tell You. You got to look at a survey. Now, back in the 60s, divorce rate in the Black household was at a 5% rate. Entering into 2004, divorce rate amongst the Black community is at a staggering 68%. So I think that we're coming back around, to loving one another, and we're coming back around to the traditional, being married. You have to have people that's going to teach you and give you an understanding on the prominent and the benefits of two is better than one. Goes back to the screening process, Danny. Where is that? When you meet someone, you have to screen them. The person, you're not going to, you don't want a unequally yoked marriage. You don't want that. You don't want that person, that's half baked. Well, maybe I can grow to love this person, or maybe, this person is one thing I like. Maybe we'll grow to love one another. I think that's one of the worst things that you can psych yourself out to say. Maybe I'll grow to love someone. If the person don't love you today, they damn sure ain't gonna love you tomorrow. Point blank. Right. So that's something that you got to think about. Love doesn't take long. Love is spontaneous and it's quick. Right away whether or not you're gonna call that man back that gave you that number at the store counter. He didn't help you to your car. Whether or not you're gonna throw it away. Right. So I'm telling you, kick bricks. Okay.
That is so true. So let me touch on something else, because I know we said we were gonna wrap this up a long time ago, but this is so heavy that we need more than one segment for it, honestly.
Right.
How has drugs affected Black families then versus now?
Wow. I would say, I would say really even marginally even worse. And the reason why I'm saying that, because back then it wasn't as many drugs that were available to the Black families. Illegal drugs has always been a demonstrative, monster, in the Black community, as a destruction, as well as, men posing on the street, and using the cliche, well, I don't put it to his lips to smoke, or I don't force anyone, to smoke it, but why give them that choice, and why give them that option, someone that's weak mentally, knowing that they got mental problems, or that they're weak mentally as far as feeling a certain way or getting high. Why are you there on that corner giving them that option to come to you to buy the illegal drugs and weakening that person? How about telling the person to get the hell out of your face? Or better yet, why don't you get your Black ass off that damn corner, polluting our damn neighborhood and help killing off our damn people? So I'm sorry about that. Yeah. So my thing is this, is the drugs more in the Black community than they were in the 60s? I would have to say yes, because you got more designer drugs out here. You can go to the store right now and you can buy drugs disguised, as Fruit Loops, and get you high in Bobby Brown and Dow Strawberry on a Saturday night.
I am done with you. Right.
Snoop Dogg on tour. Yeah, but you got more drugs available now because it has come into law where they're more acceptable. Marijuana, 10 years ago, that wasn't legal. Nobody was getting taxed on it. So now you got your kids now in school. Now it's disguised as dispensaries, CBD, CBD dispensaries now. When a kid can go now and buy gummies now, at the store, get high all day, off of a gummy, chewing a gummy, getting high all damn day, out of their damn mind. So it's like it's more readily available now, because you got to understand is that the American government system doesn't care anything about you. Only thing they care is about financially, and they care about that dollar controlling you. So if marijuana was illegal 10 years ago, so now all of a sudden now it's legal, they're getting taxes from the marijuana and throwing it off. Everybody knew cannabis oil was really good for arthritis. Everybody knew that. It comes from the cannabis plant. Everybody know that. But when you spray certain chemicals on the cannabis plant and you turn it into an oil, now, and you can smoke it or you can chew it. Now you can make money off, because now it's sparking that dopamine, that dopamine mental problem, that mental psyche in your mind that makes you want more, on top of what you're spraying on it, that's making you addicted to that drug, making it readily for the people now in Fruit Loops and packs of Fruit Loops and disguises candy bars. I lie to you not, I went into a store to buy some water, the other day, and I seen a counter of Fruit Loops. I seen granola grains. I said, damn, here it is. This man got a store full of damn marijuana pipes, and what the hell is he doing selling fruit? He said, that's not Fruit Loops. He said, that would be He said, that's not Fruit Loops. He said, that's not real. That's not Fruit Loops. He said, you ready to go to sleep? I said, hell no. He said, if you got problems going to sleep, you buy what? I said, man, I'll pass on that right there, man.
But do you feel like the drugs have made the family connection, fall apart? You think smoking marijuana has brought us together? Like, what's your take on how the drugs have really affected?
Hey, listen,
But some families just brought us closer together, I'm assuming.
Hey, look, taking any kind of illegal drugs or altering your mind to the state where you don't know what you're doing or where you're at, or you're in the street, you're slurring over and you can't think straight, or it's just altering your senses. That can never bring a family together. That can only just keep us apart. Instead of the drugs being readily available to us, because nothing comes good. And let me throw this out there too. Hookah smoking also puts water on your lungs. Okay, and that causes another problem as well too. And hookah smoking is more addictive than the regular nicotine cigarette, by the way. Okay, and by the way, also, okay, when you go and you take normal drugs, that brings on mental issues because now you're addicted to a substance. That substance
you need it, you crave it. Yeah.
That substance can potentially bring, theft into the household because now you need money to pay for your substance abuse habit. That can bring potential jail, because now you're out there doing all sorts of crazy things now, to support your habit that may potentially land you behind bars. So
can we talk about the crack era? Because man, crack has had such a negative effect on all people of color. So bad so that in society they would be like, that's why your mama a crack baby, that saying. So is crack some type of like pharmaceutical that was created to literally target Black and brown communities, you believe?
Hell yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's just that it targets the Black communities, and all of a sudden it gets intermingled and intertwined, into the other people, into the suburbs, into the white communities as well too.
And does it have a connection with our melanin, or what do you think the connection is?
It has a connection not only with our melanin, it has a connection also with our brains, because you got to look. You got to think about this. Black people will press. We work every day. It's like we got holes in our pocket. Thinking about certain things that go on in your household. You get home, you got people nagging you and this and that, and so we want to be relieved. We want to be relieved of that stress. So a lot of times what people do, they may go get themselves some liquor, they may go get some beer, and the ultimate high is to go out and get yourself an illegal narcotic, that may take you away out of here for about maybe 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. And on top of it, it's the chemicals that's mixed into that, that actually formulate, and make you addicted to that drug. And if you're already suffering with any kind of mental issues, that's even worse on top of that. That's even worse on top of that.
This show that's out right now, Arthur Frank, is Euphoria. I've been watching it, and man, it's just so realistic, but so unreal that it's portraying teenagers going through this. And they're the main category of people right now that's experimenting with these type of drugs at such an early age, and they get this addiction, and the whole rest of their life is just literally destroyed.
Right. And again, Danny, and again, it all goes back to counseling. It all goes back to having that balance in the household. Listen, if you're raising a Black or Latino son today, and you're trying to do it on your own, Lord help you. If that young man don't have any kind of righteous guidance in his life, and how to turn left and how to turn right, he's gonna have a bunch, and against odds, he's not gonna have too many options if he don't have the proper role models in his life. If you let the internet raise your kids, and if you let the internet raise your young men, you're in trouble. You're in trouble because that's the easy way out. Hand your kid, iPad. You don't shut up. You hand your kid an iPad. It used to be a time when parents used to sit down with their kids one-on-one and talk to them, make them understand certain things about life, about balance, about school, why you're failing, why your report card, why you got a 25 on your report card, why you got all zeros on your report card. It used to be a time when parents used to sit down and talk to their kids. Now the easy way out is the internet. Now the internet has actually grooming your kids, to a point where your kids don't even want to listen to you no more. They in front of you and they ignoring you. They on the iPad, they on the phone now, and you got to literally take the phone away from them or the iPad just to get their attention. It's like almost like society has actually demonized and using a what I want to say is a demotic device to gain access to your kids and gain control to their damn brain. They're pretty much out typecasting the parent out and putting in what they want the kids to know. Because it used to be a time when parents used to take kids to libraries. Library card was a big, huge thing when I was growing up. Used to be lines, to check out certain books, and check out. You go to the counter, to the library counter. Do you got Alex Haley?
Now we have online books. We can just do this from the comfort of our home now.
Right. But still, the mental part, though, no, you're right. You're absolutely correct. The mental part and the whole gesture, of taking your kids out of the household, out of the norm, away from the computer, into a physical library or a physical museum, just so the kids can, their mind can get a break. Used to be a time when the TVs, used to cut off at a certain time. This just was like in the 90s. You looking at channel 2, 12 o'clock midnight, the TV would fuzz out. They would play the American anthem, and the TV with everything like the poltergeist. TV would fuzz out and wouldn't turn back on through about 5 or 6 o'clock next morning. Gave your brain a break. You go to sleep because you can't wake up to use the bathroom and turn the TV on. Now it's 24 hours of ignorance. You can get kids, they can get up in the middle of the night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and look at ignorance on TV while you're asleep. You don't know, you can't monitor what your kids are doing 24 hours a day. That's why I understand why a lot of parents don't have cable. I'm gonna be honest, I understand. Cable bills.
And why a lot of parents confiscate those cell phones, those iPhones, and whatever type of phones they have. You have to. iPads, all of that, because you don't know what they're doing. And we already know how society is with our children. So definitely, I want to thank you so much, Arthur Frank Jordan. This was so much great content. We're going to have to do this again. Before I let you go, is there anything that you would like the audience to know?
I'm going to be in Alabama May 30th. I'm also going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina, doing an election and book signing April 30th as well, too. You can reach out to me, Facebook, reach out Frank Jordan, or just email me, ZAAQAN1212 at yahoo.com. You can come to Raleigh, North Carolina, to our classes, which are located, actually, my classes, our classes are located at 1300 East Martin Street on Saturdays, starting at 12 noon to 3 p.m. as well, too. You'll learn more there than you learn in 6 years of college. Trust me when I tell you.
Trust me, I know. Listen, Arthur Frank Jordan is not for play. He comes with the heat. He's going to give you history you've never heard of before in your life, in your adult life and in your childhood life. So he has books out available on Amazon as well, guys. One of the books is called Oh Say Can You See? The Unmentioned History of Terrorism on Blacks in America. He also has a book called We Once Were a Family, The Dissapearance of Black Soul and Culture. Another book, Uncovering the Evil of Amerikkka. That's with 3 Ks. Come on. What the FDA, Pharmacies, and the CDC failed to tell you. Also, The Greatest Show on Earth, The Destruction of a Chosen Nation. America has set a deceptive, lethal stage and platform for Blacks and Latinos we know as entertainment and Christianity. Listen, again, Arthur Frank Jordan, I cannot thank you enough for always coming to Sisters Talk podcast platform to share your unbiased, direct, unfiltered truths on this stage, because this is the kind of content that we need to hear every single day, unfiltered. So I want to thank you so much. Today's topic, guys, for people who are still on and listening to us, we want to thank you so much for tuning in. Today's topic was Black families then and now. And God knows we could go all year long talking about it. But we just tried to generalize as much as we could today. Thank you. Shout out again to Tay for his response to this, because that one response summed up so much about Black families. And again, I want to read it one more time. He said, from his perspective, back then we had less single parent homes, we had larger families, we had less crime against each other. We also had less murder, less youth suicide. That's big. We can talk about that next time, Frank.
Okay. Okay.
Youth suicide, less gangs, less prisons, less drugs. And we had more land and more Black family businesses. So,
Absolutely.
man, that's something to really think about, guys, as we close out today. And I will be seeing you guys next month. We're just doing one show per month. Danny M has a lot to take care of, but I thank God I have friends like Arthur Frank Jordan and
Thank
everyone else
you.
that's streaming live with us today. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share this video. It was so much necessary content and conversations being had. I didn't stray away from the hard questions. Arthur Frank Jordan is a Black man. I still ask him those hard questions. He still gave me the hard answers. So definitely share this video. We thank you so much until we meet again. I'll see you guys next month. Have a blessed
Hey,
Sunday.
Danny, thank you.